Hello, dear friends. Shashank Gupta at iQuanta, helping you with the much awaited IIM Bangalore BSc Sample Papers. Right? बहुत time लगाया है इन्होंने, but finally the whole paper is here, the sample paper is here, and we are going to work upon it and see how it works. ठीक है? So first thing first, yes, of course, कि questions क्या क्या आ रहे हैं? Because it was always a question. Everyone was curious, क्या आने वाला है, क्या नहीं आने वाला है. So we are going to work upon that. देखते हैं. So 15 questions total आपके 15 questions हैं और ये पूरी तरह से divided है किस में? The very first thing that they have with them is a reading comprehension. There are 4 questions out there based upon title, summary, fact based. Fact based मतलब क्या हुआ? Something which is already explicitly mentioned out there. ठीक है? Thesis. So thesis is what? It can be the argument or the assumption, the soul of the thought process. ठीक है? Then there is one text based idiom जहाँ पे text दिया होगा उसके अंदर एक idiom दिया होगा and you have to find out the meaning for it. Then there is another RC, the second RC, which has got 3 questions. One is theme, and there are 2 factual based questions, right? We have a vocab based question as well. Fine. Then we have got the grammar question, which has 2 questions. One is tense based, the other is part of speech. ठीक है? So जिन बच्चों ने हमारे से लिया हुआ है उन्होंने देखा होगा कि that there has always been, we have always been talking about कि tense verb based कुछ ना कुछ हमारे पास ज़रूरी है. ठीक है ना? जैसे subject verb agreement हो गया, tense based हो गया, so they would always be there, right? Then there is part of speech, which is of course seen in your Rohtak paper. So यहाँ पर थोड़ा सा pattern अलग है. Instead of underlining a word, what they are doing is they are giving certain questions, certain statements, and you have to find which one is the actual thing. जो यहाँ पे दे रखा है that is based on adverb. कि adverb कौन सा है? Which one is the adverb to be found? ठीक है? Next part is vocab based. Vocab में हमारे पास क्या आ रहा है? We have got one meaning of a word out of the given text. Now इसमें एक छोटा सा पंगा आया हुआ है. The problem is that we couldn't find the text. It was not present in the sample paper. ठीक है? But they are asking that what is the meaning of that underlined word. But never mind, you can still do that question. ठीक है? Then there is odd one out, which was very different from any other paper I have seen. It is a theme based odd one out. ठीक है? Generally हम ये para jumble में देखते हैं. The jumble sentences are given across, the 4 sentences are given across, or 5 sentences, and they say like which one is the odd one out. But this one is totally different. We'll see it. Okay, next is fill in the blanks, which is एक जो आया था 4 blank filler था, मतलब 4 blanks. There were 4 blanks out there which you have to fill. Automatically quite a bit confusing. ठीक है? And the other one was a single blank filler. ठीक है? So overall ये रहेगा आपका पूरा पैटर्न अगर हम इस सैम्पल पेपर को फॉलो करें, राइट? आगे चलते हैं, देखते हैं क्या क्वेश्चन आया था. So the very first thing, as I said, was a reading comprehension. जल्दी से पढ़ लेते हैं इसे. In an age dominated by hyper-consumerism and the calculated manipulation of desire. Okay, so remember, we are talking about some age. ठीक है? What kind of age is that? The age is which is dominated by hyper-consumerism and calculated manipulation. तो मतलब अच्छा नहीं दिख रहा मेरे को, है ना? Manipulation of desire. ठीक है? Contemporary parenting. So अब कहानी होगी. So on one side we are talking about consumerism and of course the other part is parenting. ठीक है? Contemporary मतलब जो recent years में चल रहा है has become an increasingly formidable undertaking. ठीक है? तो मतलब थोड़ा तो प्रॉब्लम चल ही रहा है, राइट? सो अंडरटेकिंग कितने आसानी से हो रहा है या क्या हो रहा है देखते हैं. अ सिग्निफिकेंट नंबर ऑफ पेरेंट्स अपीयर अनएबल और अनविलिंग टू assert meaningful boundaries. मतलब they are not working on boundaries at all for the children. They are not setting any boundaries, thereby nurturing children whose impulses are continuously inflamed by meticulously engineered commercial appeals. So what is happening? Children, they are getting what? Commercial appeals. कुछ खरीदना है, materialism की तरफ ज़्यादा है. ठीक है? For many of these children, the acquisition of desired commodities, so they want something, they desire for some commodity, some product, offers only fleeting gratification. Fleeting gratification का मतलब क्या हुआ? For a very small time. ठीक है ना? Such fulfillment merely intensifies an already voracious appetite for more. मतलब Are they satisfied with their whatever they want? Are they satisfied when they get it? No, they are not. Rather, what is happening is कि एक बार उनको मिल गया, once they get it, after that the appetite increases. They are hungry for more and they want more things now. ठीक है? This troubling dynamic has compelled psychologists, educators, and reflective parents to advocate an urgent reorientation. So, what are they asking for? They're asking for reorientation. भैया इसको पूरा change करना है, right? They want to change the thought process altogether toward enduring moral values such as industry, contentment, integrity, and compassion. So they want to bring across integrity, compassion, contentment, and other stuff in children, right? Yet the endeavor to impose limits has never been more complex. It's quite complex to get this, nor the repercussion more consequential. ठीक है? So repercussions भी बहुत ज़्यादा consequential हो रहे हैं. ठीक है? Emerging studies of adults who were excessively indulged during childhood. Okay, fine. So what are we talking about this time? This is coming across about study. Some kind of studies happening on those adults जो कि they were excessively indulged during childhood reveal a disheartening pattern, which means the pattern is not good. It is actually discomforting. ठीक है? Individuals inundated with abundance prematurely often struggle to withstand life's inevitable frustrations. मतलब क्या हुआ? जो individuals थे who got abundance prematurely मतलब जब उनको उतना कुछ नहीं मिलना चाहिए था, when they were not supposed to be given that much, they were provided with, and that too in abundance, right? Often struggle to withstand life's inevitable frustration. और ultimately जब वो बड़े होते हैं, what happens? The life's inevitable frustration. So there would be plenty of frustration for them in the later stage when there is no one else to give it to them and they have to fend for themselves, right? Their early experience foster a distorted sense of entitlement. Fine. So early experience when they were young, they started thinking that they are entitled. They have the right to do whatever there is. Okay? They have the right to get all these things, the materialistic and the commercial things. Okay? That impedes, but finally ये क्या करता है? This actually becomes a chaos. ठीक है? It impedes. It acts as a hurdle. ठीक है? In what? In professional achievement and destabilizes पर्सनल रिलेशनशिप भी खराब हो रहे हैं और अचीवमेंट भी वैसा कुछ नहीं हो रहा है. ठीक है? हर्डल्स बहुत ज़्यादा है लाइफ में. कॉन्सिक्वेंटली इट इज़ इम्पेरेटिव मतलब इट इज़ मैंडेटरी. ठीक है ना? दैट पेरेंट्स डेलिबरेटली मतलब विलिंगली करें. ठीक है? करना ही पड़ेगा, फोर्स है. ठीक है? मैंडेटरी है. कल्टिवेट इन देयर चिल्ड्रन एन अवेयरनेस ऑफ ग्रैटिट्यूड. ठीक है ना? कि भाई इनके अंदर ग्रैटिट्यूड होना चाहिए, जो भी मिल रहा है दे शुड बी हैप्पी विद दिस. They should respect those people who have given the thing to them. ठीक है ना? Self discipline, they should be self disciplined and emotional resilience. Now what is the resilience when we talk about? So resilience is like some kind of when they can bounce back on the thing, right? कोई अगर shortcoming आ जाती है तो they should not feel कि ये क्या हो गया मेरी लाइफ में. ठीक है? Only through such intentional guidance can the next generation transcend go forward या some kind of transform the seductive superficialities of material culture and discover a more profound, durable conception of human satisfaction. So, finally, through these things, कैसे कैसे इमोशनल रिजिलियंस होना चाहिए, सेल्फ डिसिप्लिन होना चाहिए और ग्रैटिट्यूड होना चाहिए. इसी के थ्रू क्या होगा? दे वुड बी अवे फ्रॉम ऑल दोज सेडक्टिव थिंग्स, राइट? ऑल दोज सुपरफिशियलिटी इज लाइक they are for namesake. They do not provide ट्रू हैप्पीनेस. ठीक है ना? कहाँ से आता है ये? मटीरियल कल्चर से आता है. मटीरियल कल्चर से दूर रह जाएंगे और किसके पास आ जाएंगे? दे वुड बी मोर डीपली इन्वॉल्व इन ह्यूमन सेटिस्फैक्शन. ईजी. आप जैसे देख रहे हैं, दिस इज नॉट इवन मॉडरेट. दिस इज जस्ट एन ईजी पैसेज, राइट? सो ईजी था, कुछ ज़्यादा डिफिकल्ट नहीं था इसमें. ठीक है? लेट्स सी द क्वेश्चन. द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन सेज आइडेंटिफाई द सूटेबल टाइटल. जैसा कि मैंने उसमें लिखा है कि टाइटल बेस्ड क्वेश्चन आ रहा है. सो टाइटल में क्या कह रहे हैं? रेजिंग रिजिलियंस, रिक्लेमिंग चाइल्डहुड थ्रू मटीरियल एक्सेस. रिक्लेमिंग चाइल्डहुड थ्रू मटीरियल एक्सेस. true material excess, मतलब material excess डालकर reclaiming childhood, which definitely is against the thought process. So we cannot have this answer. B part says entitlement and its echoes. ठीक है? The hidden cost of indulgent parenting. Indulgent parenting, hidden cost मतलब जहाँ पर हम क्या कर रहे हैं, we are giving the thing, हम indulge कर रहे हैं उनके उसमें, we are giving them the things and ultimately we are paying a cost for it. So definitely entitlement and its echoes is basically talking about the outcomes of such things which we are doing, the parents are doing, right? So definitely we can keep the B part. They are paying the heavy cost for this, right? Entitlement आ जाता है बच्चों के अंदर and all that. So it is covering all the relative keywords. C part says teaching tricks of life. No, of course not. So this is a very random thought process. Which kind of tricks? What is the problem? It is not talking about everything. So this cannot become our suitable title. D part says parenting in the age of anti-consumerism. So this is not the age of anti-consumerism. Rather, this is an age of hyper-consumerism. So definitely D part does not work for us. The only option that works for us is B. Okay, as you can see, it is a very direct question, not a big problem for us, right? Okay, let's move on to the next question. What does it say? It says select the correct summary, right? It says select the correct summary for the passage. Up summary is what? Summary is something which is going to cover major aspects of the point and also the most important aspects. Okay, let's see kya hai. The primary goal of modern parenting should be to completely shield children from all commercial influences and material desires. ये सुनने में कितना ही अच्छा लग रहा है और we feel that this can be an answer, but then again remember that it talks about all commercial influences, completely shield. Fine, this is an extreme thought process. Author never said that they should not be given anything, right? So definitely A part is not working for me. An extreme thought process it is. B part says studies show that indulged children become adults who are incapable of professional achievement or stable relationship. Now this is good. I can keep this for the time being. Unless I get a better option, this can be my answer. But then again, if you see, it is only talking about a study, right? So I can actually outright remove it. But then again, if I think like you, as a student, as an aspirant, I might get trapped out here. So I will keep it for the time being. If I get a better option, I'll go for that, right? C part says parents are largely helpless against commercial forces and must rely on educators to instill moral values in their children. But this part must rely on educators. That part is something very specific. It was not only about educators, it was about psychologists, it was talking about the reflective parents. Fine. So, why should it be only about educators? So, that's why we can actually remove this. D part says contemporary parenting must deliberately, deliberate उन्होंने बोला था है ना, ये रहा deliberately cultivate in their children, right? Deliberately inculcate, cultivate, inculcate, ठीक है, moral fortitude and emotional resilience. Okay, they were talking about resilience, they were talking about moral values, right? To counteract the pernicious effects of consumerist indulgence, consumerist hyper, है ना, indulgence hyper, right? Okay, fine. And definitely B and D अगर मैं सामने रखता हूँ तो you can actually make it out that this question does not need a lot of thinking out here. D is definitely the right answer. Okay, right. Let's move on to question number 3. The passage argues that the fulfillment of a child's material desires in a consumerist society results in what specific outcome? Now look at this question. This is a very easy and factual based question, right? Let's see how we go about. The passage argues that the fulfillment of child's material desires, अगर हम उसका if the material desires of a child are fulfilled, ठीक है, in a consumerist society results in what specific outcome? So what is the outcome of that? ठीक है, a cyclical intensification of the desire for further acquisition. Now look at this part. Further acquisition. If you remember, what was it said? It says for many, if you come across to the first paragraph, it clearly mentions for many of these children, the acquisition of desired commodities offers only fleeting gratification. Each fulfillment merely intensifies, it increases, right? Intensifies, see, intensifies. Okay, an already voracious appetite for more. No problem at all. We can easily come across and say that A can be an answer, right? B part देखते हैं, क्योंकि जैसा कि मैं बताता हूँ, हमारा जो मेन thought process है, we should always try to eliminate. If A is the answer, then always remember that B, C, D cannot be the answer, and you should know that how to remove it. Okay, so the premature cultivation of emotional resilience and self-discipline. Okay, but this is not something that comes across from fulfilling the child's material desire, right? Okay, so this is the, we can actually remove this part. Okay, C part, a long-term state of contentment and satiety. Definitely not, because they are just for fleeting. It is clearly mentioned, it is fleeting. D part says the government, the development of a critical awareness of commercial manipulation. No, they are not getting aware of it. That is not the outcome. It has to be a negative one. So definitely D part goes away. The only option that is left is A. Nice, nice. As you can see, the questions are easy. We can do it. Okay, all you have to be very, as they say, uh, be patient, calm, and always eliminate, and you would get your answer. Let's come across to question number 4. It says, which statement most accurately captures the central thesis? Okay, that could be the argument, that could be the inference, that could be the assumption, something like that, right? But whatever it is, at the end of the day, it has to remain in the domain of the passage itself. It should remain in the scope of the passage itself. Let's see. A part says consumer desires have created a generational crisis requiring systemic regulatory changes. Okay, so keeping that in mind, how would I go about and start thinking about it? Consumer desires have created a generational crisis. Okay, so is it about generation? फाइन, आगे देखते हैं क्या कहता है. रिक्वायरिंग सिस्टमिक रेगुलेटरी चेंजेस. सिस्टमिक इज लाइक समथिंग टू डू विद एजुकेशन, नॉलेज एंड ऑल दैट. बट इट इज इट ओनली अबाउट नॉलेज, और इज इट अबाउट इमोशंस एज वेल, है ना? इट इज़ ऑल्सो अबाउट मॉरल्स, राइट? सो ठीक है, अभी ए थोड़ा सा मेरे को अंडरस्टेटमेंट लग रहा है, तो इसको अभी के लिए रखते हैं, ठीक है. नेक्स्ट चलते हैं. पेरेंटिंग फेलियर इज साइकोलॉजिकल ड्यू टू मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग चिल्ड्रंस डेवलपमेंट नीड्स. डेफिनेटली नॉट, हम यहाँ पर इसको नहीं ले रहे हैं. बहुत ज़्यादा रैंडम, बहुत ज़्यादा ओवर जनरलाइज थॉट प्रोसेस है, ठीक है. सो बी पार्ट गोज अवे. सी पार्ट सेज मटीरियल इंडल्जेंस temporarily placates children but harms long term development. Okay, fine. बट दिस इज आउटराइट टॉकिंग अबाउट कि मटीरियल इंटेलिजेंस होना ही नहीं चाहिए. ये कुछ टाइम के लिए, ओनली फॉर सम टाइम इट प्लेकेट्स द चिल्ड्रन, फाइन, बट हार्म लॉन्ग टर्म डेवलपमेंट. तो इसका मतलब कि उनको मटीरियल इंटेलिजेंस होना ही नहीं चाहिए, ऐसा कुछ. चलो ठीक है, डी पार्ट देखते हैं. टू काउंटर एक्ट कंज्यूमरिज्म्स इफेक्ट, parents must cultivate moral and emotional development. Aha. So we have got cultivate moral and emotional development deliberately, right? It was clearly mentioned out there. So अगर आप इसको देखें, this was a very close call, ठीक है. तो जैसे कि हम जानते हैं इस चीज़ को, you should also know कि if there are 5 questions somewhere, so always remember that 1 to 2 questions would actually be ट्रैप रिडन, ठीक है ना. उसमें बहुत सारे ट्रैप्स होंगे एंड यू हैव टू गो थ्रू दैट एंड सी विच वन इज वर्किंग फॉर यू, राइट? सो आउट हियर द बेटर आंसर, राइट, better answer out of all the 3 which were left as A, C and D. So D would be a better answer because it is talking about the central thesis that what is to be done, fine, that some moral and emotional development has to be done, and it has to be done deliberately, right? And parents have to be involved in it, fine. So, and definitely it is against the consumerist, the hyper consumerism that is happening. So yes, definitely D part is the right option. Okay, now we come across to this question 5 which talks about underlined idiom. तो अगर आप idiom देखते हैं, where is the idiom? It is saying threw a spanner in the works. First of all, what does it mean? Think about it. So some work is happening out there, right? And threw a spanner in it. So if the work is already happening out here and I'm throwing spanners in it, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to create hurdles, right? So as per that, what would it be? Pull the plug means what? Prevent something, okay? prevent or stop something from happening. Okay. They pulled a plug on the project. What does it mean? It means they stopped it. Clear hand, right? Okay. Threw in the towel means to give up. Okay. Destroyed the money machinery. It is like complete destruction. Okay. And disrupt the proceedings is basically disrupt is hurdle, right? Create hurdles. Fine. So which one would be a better option? Fine. Uh, Destroying the machinery is too extreme, right? Pull the plug is again too extreme. Threw in the towel does not work out here. He did not give up. Rather, he started uh, disturbing others, right? He started creating delays and he started create some kind of hurdle, some problem, some issue so that the work cannot be done in time or something like that. Not destroy the whole thing. So therefore, the answer has to be A, right? Easy. आगे चलते हैं. Next question is again an RC. Let's read. Now this RC was a bit vocab oriented. Okay, so vocabulary दो तरीके से समझेंगे. First part, either way you are just going to read it and try to catch hold of all the words, or you should, you know, just know the words. Okay, see, let's see. The traditional pilgrim advanced not merely through geographical terrain but through a profound interior landscape, right? So, what happened? We are talking about the traditional pilgrim, the people who go across for a sacred journey or a holy journey. Okay, they did not go across, they did not just, you know, pass the uh, journey physically, right? But it was also through a profound interior landscape. Interior, in this sense, would be the inner soul and whatever they have to go through, right? Okay. Engendering, that is causing, a transcendent sense of belonging that disseminated to a universal message of fraternity. So, what is happening? It actually became what? It caused a change in the sense of belonging, right? And it spread randomly and going across with the universal message of fraternity. What is fraternity? It is brotherhood. Okay, so it is actually forwarding the message of brotherhood. Okay, this ethics or something principle was imparted indiscriminately. Okay, there was no these people are not going to be told about it or anything. It went out and out. Okay, whether within caves, secluded ashrams, maybe it was in some cave, maybe in ashram or humble settlements. Fine. In reciprocation is like in response for the devout observance of pilgrimage dharma. Fine. The way they sacredly, fine, with full of devotion and dedication, the way they followed the dharma, right? Dharma, right? Okay. They received the benedictions, the prayers, the blessings, and sagacious congregations. What is sagacious congregations? It's basically the community, right? The wise community of yogis and mahatmas, right? So these people, they are going out there to different places where these yogis, mahatmas, fine, they are sitting across and they are getting blessings from them, right? For all the kind of good work they are doing. Okay. A genuine pilgrimage constitutes a form of penance or sadhana. Fine, penance is more of towards a punishment or an atonement. Okay, an austere endeavor, austere is very important out here. Fine, because if they are saying that there has to be an inner change as well, so that inner change is very strict, very disciplined. Okay, so austere stands for strict and disciplined. Endeavor to commune with nature, so to become one with nature, to communicate with nature, to live in nature, right? Sustaining the body through moderate means not in luxury, right? They are ascetics, right? And ascetics do not go across with luxuries. They don't indulge themselves in any kind of entertainment or luxury or something like that, right? While deliberately seeking emancipation from worldly attachments. So you can easily make out what is emancipation. If they are living moderately, what would they do? Will they go across with worldly attachments? No. They would free themselves. So emancipation is what? Freeing oneself or liberating oneself. Okay. It stands in stark opposition, clear opposition to its modern perversion. Perversion is a negative word, right? Changing into a bad thing, right? Into a picnicking excursion with comforts, entertainment, and environmental disregard. So it is complete in disregard, complete in opposite to people or the way the world is going about, right? That that they feel that they are always in comfort, or they are in an excursion, they are going across for picnics, right? Entertainment plays a vital role for their life, and more than that, they do not care about the environment, right? Okay. A truly transformative spiritual odyssey journey, okay, must begin with understanding the pilgrimage's sacred significance. So you need to understand what is that importance, what is that sacred, the holy importance of that pilgrimage, that journey, that spiritual journey, right? Actualized through disciplined adherence, adherence like when you follow some rule, okay, and it has to be disciplined. Again, austerity to prescribed rules, right? So whatever the rules are, you need to follow them, you need to adhere to them, right? Only such consciousness transmutes. So if you are aware of these things, only then you can transform the journey into a medium for spiritual evolution, right? So it's quite an easy thing. Yet again, I would say it's quite easy, except for a few word here and there. But then again, yes, if you have a good practice of reading, fine, then what you can do is you can actually smart guess the meaning of certain words, but majorly it works. Okay. Identify the main theme. So what exactly can be the main theme of the thought process, right? Let's see. Authentic pilgrimage is a sacred ascetic discipline. Authentic, right? See, here it was actualized and all that, right? Begin with understanding pilgrimage's sacred significance, right? Okay, is a sacred ascetic discipline opposed to modern commodified excursions, right? Modern commodified, it was against those things, it was clearly mentioned, right? Stark opposition to its, see, in the second paragraph, it says stark opposition to its modern perversion into a picnicking excursion and everything, right? And moreover, it has to have what? The penance, right? Which means the austerity has to be there, which clearly shows that A part can be kept. B part says critique of ascetic practices argues integrating comfort into spirituality. Oh my god, no, never. Right? It says integrating, which means like they say like, okay, fine, you want to have spirituality, but also try to inculcate or integrate, associate, connect what? Comfort into it. But it was not said so, right? Penance is totally opposite of that. B part goes away. C part says historical sociological role of pilgrims in building communities. Well, in building communities, no, definitely not. It is not talking about that, right? It is more of difference, right? And how a pilgrim would become a true pilgrim. So this part, C part, goes away. D part says pilgrimages should be undertaken in large groups. No, never it was said that it has to be in large groups. So definitely it is not my main thing. Yeah. Yeah, the outcome is like if you are a devout, you would definitely join some community out there. That is one way of understanding that, but it does not mean that it has to be taken in a large group. Okay, easy as that. So what is the answer? The answer is A again. Question 7. According to the passage, what is the specific reciprocation? So you see, this is a direct question, right? Because it is coming across from the passage itself, right? Let's go to it. By pilgrims of adherence. Okay, okay. What is the specific reciprocation received by pilgrims for adherence to pilgrimage dharma? Okay. So what is the specific reciprocation? Let's see. Is it the benediction and congregation of yogis and mahatmas? It was clearly mentioned in the first paragraph, last line. In reciprocation for their devout observance of pilgrimage dharma, they receive the benediction and sagacious congregation of yogis and mahatmas, which clearly gives me the thought process that yes, it was explicitly mentioned, and this can definitely be my answer. Next, B part says profound sense of belonging and fraternity. Uh, okay, it was there, it was there, but then again, B part was not the reciprocation as it is clearly mentioned. So B, though it is a part of the passage, but it cannot be the answer. Emancipation for from worldly attachment, again, not the answer to the reciprocation, but it is still there. D, sustenance and shelter from local settlements. From local settlements is definitely it is not mentioned, so it is going away. But C, if you can see, the B and C are very close to your thought process, to your question, right? Uh, just because it is already present in the passage. So sometimes it can actually create a big what? Yes, a trap. Okay, so you need to be very clear. Okay, calmly go across with this and you can do this question. Okay, so what is the answer for this? The answer is A part. Good. Let's go across with question number 8. What would the authors say about a modern pilgrim who publicizes their spiritual achievements? Fine. Listen to this very important question. What would the authors say about a modern pilgrim, fine, who publicizes their spiritual achievements? So he's publicly showing across and showing his achievements, right? A misunderstood the ascetic principle of freedom from attachment, right? If he's publicizing himself, then he's actually attached to people, right? Okay, so attachment should not be there. We should have freedom from the attachment. So automatically A part can be taken across that the author says that this man, the modern pilgrim who is publicizing himself, his achievements, he's misunderstanding, he has misunderstood the ascetic principle of freedom from attachment, right? I can definitely keep this. Successfully merged modern social practices with spirituality, but definitely it was not supposed to be, right? Successfully, he would not be happy about him, he would not be praising him. So, of course, B part is wrong. Demonstrated strong ego needed for evolution. Ego thing did not work for us. Okay, fulfilled obligation to share wisdom, definitely not, definitely not. So this was a clear case, an easy question. You can easily come out that the answer has to be A, there is no other option, right? Okay, let's move on to the next one. Identify the antonym of the word austere. So austere, we already know what is the meaning. Austere was something which is strict, right? Someone who's quite strict. Now we look at for callous. What is callous? A person who's callous is basically heartless. Okay. What is obstinate? Obstinate is someone who is rigid. Fine. Orthodox. Acquiescent. Now, when I say this word, it comes across something like, when I'm getting acquainted with, when I get acquainted to someone, what happens out there? I become a bit flexible, right? So, acquiescent would also stand for something which is cooperative, something to do with, I can say, like, where you are too much in, like, flexible, right? Okay. Now, if you are flexible or cooperative, can the opposite be austere, which is strict and disciplined? Flexible, opposite of disciplined. Yes, this can actually work. So we can keep C. Okay. What is adamantine? Now look at this part. Adamant. You already know what is adamant. What is adamant? That cannot be broken, right? Something which is unshakable. Okay. Unshakable, right? So it clearly means that there is only one antonym. Oh, another thing, guys. Always remember that this question, the instruction is the most important part, right? Many a time what really happens when people are doing this kind of a question, they would simply try to see there is a word coming across to them, and they forget that the question asks for an antonym. They would rather go across and simply take the synonym out there. Please don't do this. Okay. So what is the right answer? The right answer would be acquiescent. Okay. Acquiescent. Yeah, that is the right pronunciation. Acquiescent. Let's move on. Okay. Question 10. Right. Let's come across to question number 10. What does it say? Select the option that maintains correct tense sequence. Good question. By the time the committee arrived, the researchers underlined, completed their presentation, submitted the report, and were leaving the hall. Easy? Okay. Now we are talking about tense. In tense, we have to understand there is a time reference given across. What is the expression for time reference? It is given across as by the time. So whenever we have by the time, and there are two sentences after that, right? Sentence 1 and then there is another which is sentence 2. Okay. Always remember, if sentence 1 is in past, okay, is it in past? See, by the time the committee arrived, so it is in past, right? So whenever the first sentence is in past, the second sentence has to be in past perfect. Simple rule. Okay. So let's see which one is past perfect. If you want to make a past perfect, it has to have had, because perfect always takes has, have, had, and because it is in past, it cannot be has and have. It will always be had, and with had we have to have V3. So which one has had? First one were, second have is present, so I cannot have it. So A part goes away, B part goes away, C part is simple past, I cannot have it. Only D part is there, which is had completed, had submitted, had left. Easy, easy. Like it's a cakewalk for us, right? So as I said earlier, right, all those whom we have mentored, I have always been clear about it that uh, the English part will be easy. Of course, when I say easy, does not mean that every question is going to be easy. But yes, out of 15 questions, you can definitely go across and do 13 of them. Two questions I'm thinking, I think that you might find some kind of difficulty out there, but the rest 13, you can actually do it. Okay. Question number 11. In which sentence does since function as an adverb? Now look at it carefully. Out here in the first one, since is written before a noun. Next, since COVID, again a noun. I met him a year ago and haven't seen him since. Okay, this since is all alone. And the last one, again, since is written before a noun, which is the rain. Okay, all these since, all the 1, 2, and 4, they all are acting as prepositions, right? They all are acting as prepositions, telling us about some time, duration, or something like that, right? The point of start or something. Okay. But if we look at question number 3, the sentence number 3, what is it talking about? It's alone, right? It's alone. And we know that when a preposition comes across without its object, it generally comes across as an adverb. So remember, the answer has to be 3, right? This is part of speech based, okay? So part of speech is again very important for us. Every question matters out here, right? So that's why remember this and practice it as much as possible. Parts of speech based. Okay. Okay. Let's move on. Question 12. Choose the most appropriate word that represents the underlined word completely. Now, this was one question which was given across and which was totally, there was a problem out here. Okay. What was the problem out here? If you see, it says choose the most appropriate word that represents the underlined word. But there is no sentence given across to us. The only thing that was given across is the word itself. In such a case, remember what is to be done. Don't get, perturbed by this. Okay. You must understand that all you have to do is you just catch hold of the word and then try to find out what is the meaning that you can draw from that. Okay. Now look at these words which are given across. Okay. The first word is vigorously. What do you understand of vigorously? Something happened vigorously, right? Some um, maybe a chemical reaction happened vigorously. What would it mean when I say vigorously? So it would mean something to do with force, right? With force, right? Or I can say powerful, very powerfully, right? Okay, so it does not work with completely, right? Goes away. Comprehensively means almost all, almost all, or I can say covering all, right? It almost covers everything. We say that covering all, right? Can this be completely? Yes, of course, because completely means like covering everything, right? So this can definitely be there. Dramatically, what does it mean dramatically? So dramatically has two meanings. One is like full of drama, right? The other is large, right? Large, in large amount, in large number. Okay, something like that. Dramatic crowd was there. So large number. But large number does not mean that it is covering everything, right? So dramatically can safely be removed. Okay. Next word, succinctly. What does it mean? So whenever I talk about succinctly, something we are talking about something which is very clear. Okay. Something which is very clear and brief. Definitely, there is only one answer that we have to go across with. Fourth is not working for me. The answer is two. Okay, comprehensively, completely. Okay, good. So you can see the level is not at all something we should be very afraid of, right? Except for a two or three questions which might trap you. Rest is fine. We can go about with this. Okay, let's come across to question number 13. Identify the sentence that does not belong to common topic. Very important. Common topic. Now look at it. So we have got five options. First talks about sustainable urban development. Okay, so it is talking about something to do with the city, the urban crowd and everything. Okay. Circular economy frameworks. Okay. So this is also talking about some kind of urban thing or something to do with development or something like that. Fine. Large scale coral bleaching. Now, what does it mean, coral? Coral means something to do with the marine, right? We find it in the sea, the corals, right? The red reef, the coral reef, and we so call that, right? Red corals. So that is something to do with the sea part. But the rest, economy frameworks and urban, can also talk about something to do with urbanization and everything. So the economy also changes. Something to do with urban, right? Okay. Next part, technological innovation in waste management. Again, something that is to do with development, sustenance, and urban thought process. Okay. Governments implementing green infrastructure. So green infrastructure, right? So the structures that are made, the frameworks that are made are all about green, as in carbon emissions and sustenance and other stuff, right? So definitely the only odd one out which is completely different is three, which is talking about the sea, the marine life, and bleaching them or something. So third is the right answer. Okay, easy as that. Fine. But yes, of course, you need to practice a lot. Don't just think that this is the only thing that is going to come across. This is the only question that is going to come across. Of course not. So they are going to use something else out there, right? And it can be a tad bit high. The level can be a tad bit high. So you should be careful with that. Okay, let's come across to the next one. Fill in the blanks. Now these questions were my very like, they were like, I was very impressed with these questions. Why is that? Because many a time what happens, the question comes across and you can just go through and check, you know something and eliminate them, right? We can also eliminate out here, but more than that, what is important out here is you need to learn something today. Let's see. A good teacher must possess awareness, empathy, insight, intuition. All these four words can actually come across out here. Yeah, fine. Awareness, yeah, a teacher has to have awareness. A teacher has to have empathy, right? A teacher has to have insight. A teacher has to have what? Intuition. which means